Hello again, I'm Cymen, and I'm back to talk to you about the lore. Well, since my last video we gained about 1,000 subscribers, so I better make a good impression for all the oh god damn it! The International Dota 2 Championship had a huge surprise for us this year. Not only did they tease Mars for the coming winter, I'd actually expected this one to be a code for Solar Count, but whatever. But Valve actually baffled the community by immediately releasing another new hero without any fanfare leading up to it. Just the trailer and boom! Minutes later we were struggling to spam pick the god damn it! The new hero is called Grimstroke, but I will keep this video classy anyways. I recommend you guys watch his announcement trailer because I will cover some of the visual details from it later, and why I think that he is closely related to the Wailing Mountains and the Spirit Brothers. But first, his origin story.
I'll paint this world as I see fit.
He was supposed to be the guardian of Ashkavor and his people, bind their souls to his in a ritual of ascension and only draw upon this power in a case of emergency. All he had to do now was add his own mark to the runestone to complete this binding rite. However, he had already broken a sacred rule and tainted the ancient mixture of ink in an attempt to gain more power than his teachers had warned him to strive for. More on his teachers in a little bit. When he spread this vile concoction on the runestone, the corruption known as the ink tide threatened to overtake him. Instead of using the soul connection to protect Ashkavor and its people, he used it to channel this evil force into the innocent souls he was connected to, corrupting all of them in the process just to save himself. They all became inky remnants which he later absorbed without remorse. Generally, I really like this concept of a demonic painter. It hasn't been done much in gaming. He doesn't seem to have a direct connection to Artifact, but he does set up a couple things in Dota. He's very knowledgeable about everyone's origin story, and he seems pretty eager to set up new alliances with other evil characters. Most interestingly to the grand scheme of things, he adds to the rumors that Aghanim, Rubik's father, and possibly one of the most powerful mages and artificers in the history of Dota, may still be alive.
Is it true about Aghanim's demise? I've heard conflicting reports.
But I think this is my personal favorite line, because it adds a little more depth to his character.
Was my rise foreseen, Oracle? What would have become of her? Of us? Had I taken another path?
Don't worry, I will leave all the other details to Sir Actionslax's Lorgasm. I prefer to focus on a single theory. Because when I listened to Grimstroke's in-game monologue, which you get when you spam click on him, something stuck out to me. He speaks of other remnants, ascended ones, kin of his people that he did not absorb yet. Theories like these have small beginnings, so the thing that made me curious in the first place is a single word: remnants. There are 3 other heroes in Dota that use remnants as an integral part of their skill set, and that's the Spirit Brothers. When it comes to writing, parallels like these are rarely unintentional, and when you know what to look for, more and more connections start popping up. You'll see what I mean once we check the trailer visuals for connections. So let's get to it. The trailer begins with these Japanese-styled ink murals in black and white, contrasted by Grimstroke's ink tide corruption. We are shown a mountain town with Eastern architecture, reminiscent of feudal Japan. But here's the thing, we have already seen this kind of architecture in the world of Dota 2. It was part of the 3 Spirits update, where a similar city is shown on top of a mountain. It's also similar to the terrain cosmetic that was released alongside Monkey King. I will get into why he is relevant to my theory a little later. But here's what I'm getting at. I believe that Ashkavor lies in the Wailing Mountains. This region of the world is the place of origin for both Storm Spirit and Ember Spirit. And while Earth Spirit's lore focuses more on the spirit of the Earth, and doesn't really get into the general Cowlin whose form he took, their visual designs, attire, and naming conventions are similar enough to put the Earth Spirit into the same cultural background. Xin, Raijin, and Cowlin are brothers after all, and all three of these characters have ascended in a way. So it is not out of the question that they are the ones that Grimstroke is hunting. Also, if they are related to Grimstroke in some way, it delivers a pretty handy explanation as to why they aren't more powerful than they are, considering they are supposed to be forces of nature.
The power of the Ascended Ones was warped by my transformation.
For those of you who are still new to the lore of Dota and artifacts, here's a little TLDR about the spirits. They are actually once great people, from a long time ago, whose mortal remains were fused with elemental spirits and thus became celestials. Here's a couple examples. The elementalist Thunderkeg tried to save his people from a drought and angered the storm spirit Raijin by summoning him for a little rain, and the only way Thunderkeg saw to reel him in again was to imprison the spirit in his own body. They became one fused being. So this is Dragon Ball, guys. Dragon Ball Fusion. You remember. But the references do not end there. And my theory doesn't just hinge on clothes and themes. Just take another look. Right here.
Who's that Pokemon?
It's Ember Spirit! This is the point in the video when Grimstroke speaks of his teachers. And Xin was indeed a teacher. In the Fortress of Flares. In the Wailing Mountains, teaching a series of mantras known as the Bonds of the Guardian Flame. Guardian, that's also what he was supposed to be. And it makes sense for Xin to be one of Grimstroke's teachers. Of course the would-be spiritual guardian of a people would be sent to the best of the region to learn. Grimstroke is also the only one to call Xin by his first name aside from Monkey King. After all, Xin died centuries ago, before being revived by the Burning Celestial. And no, I don't think it was Grimstroke who killed him. Besides, his lore says he was bested in battle. Actually, let's return to this part of his backstory. The guy in the center is clearly the most detailed, but it is also the most generic design here. He's also one of the people who become corrupted and absorbed. But over here, we see another of Grimstroke's teachers, untouched by the ink tide. This guy, ooh, his silhouette is really unique. You can tell he has a long beard, huge sideburns, and a long-ass ponytail with accessories. Have you ever played a game of Spot the Protagonist? This is not some random splurge of ink like Grimstroke's family. This is a character design. I will give you my guesses for the identity of this guy in a second, but one thing is sure. Grimstroke seems to hate the spirits. He refers to them as puppets and skin suits, because he is only interested in the power within. However, he seems to know the mortals they once were as well.
Your flame isn't even your own, Xin.
For example, he treats Storm Spirit as two entities, Thunderkeg and the spirit Raijin.
So you let this spirit wear you like a hat, Thunderkeg?
Even when they are allies, he tells them to stay away. So, if the Celestials are the ones he is trying to add to his collection, because he could not absorb them along with the ink tide, this guy may be the missing piece to another mystery as well. So, let me end the video with some real speculation. What if this guy is the fourth spirit? We already know there's one missing because of the comic Tales of the Monkey King, and this voice line, of course.
I've seen Xin and Cowlin. Where's your other brother?
The comic tells the story of Monkey King's Arcana item, and how he pissed off the spirits in his search for a worthy weapon. They threw him into a furnace for offending the elements. He came out stronger though. For only $29.99 on the Dota 2 store. Anyways, It is also still a mystery so far which element this final spirit will embody. My personal guess is water, since that is where Monkey King found the weapon, and it is an obvious element to cover. However, different cultures have different elements, and some even include metal, or Greek mythology includes ether, which Dota also takes inspiration from. So far, we only have this as visualization, and that could be anything. The underwater trenches or ethereal energy from between the shadows. Maybe Valve did not want to be tied down either. This character has been teased for 2 years now, after all. But here's the thing. There are more than one kind of people living in the Wailing Mountains. Mangix the Brewmaster also hails from this region, from the ruined city, and he has a close relation to the spirits. In fact, it is implied that his father is a celestial himself, making him related by blood as well. He refers to the spirits as his cousins and kin. It is hard to tell with his art style, but Grimstroke's third teacher looks like a hairy guy. So could he be Mangix's father? These could be the same furry ears rather than overpronounced sideburns. There's no visible weapon, so perhaps he fights with his hands or paws. I guess these could be arm braces as well, but looks like fur to me. Either way, as a fan of this shared universe and its lore, I'm just happy that they're continuing to build on the story in Dota 2 as well, and not only Artifact, but I'm just super hyped for both. Anyways, that's it for now, guys. If you liked this, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, maybe follow us on Twitter so you never miss anything even before the videos are done. Thanks for watching and supporting us. Catch you next time.